Hi, I'm Jean Templin, the CEO and founder of Nayak, and welcome to In the Call podcast. Today, I am honored to have Bob Healy, a friend of mine and someone I've known for many years now, and an expert in sales. In fact, he taught me a lot about sales when he first took me door knocking. Bob, I'd like to let you go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Gene. And thank you for the kind words. Maybe overstated, but I appreciate them anyway. Bob Healy, Prelude Solutions is my firm. I am Chief Commercial Officer, and we kind of focus on, cost optimization in the broad scope of telecom, rather, and communications. So thank you, Gene. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about sales and in 2026, the trends that you're seeing, and the role that kind of AI is playing in the overall sales, tech stack, how
Mm-hmm.
people are working, what people are doing differently. What are you seeing?
Yep, yep. So it's a good question. And I always, to varying degrees of success, but I have always try to take an operational mindset to sales, right? So there is a science and an art to sales, right? So the science can be kind of taught a little bit more than the art can. So, that's what I see as a role that AI can play in sales as we go forward, right? Like, take that science, those repeatable motions, the things that can be taught and operationalize them or institutionalize them, make them repeatable. So that's where I see AI tools going in helping sales organizations and salespeople. That's really where I hope it continues to go. And I think, yourself, me, others in this field, we can have a big impact on, how well that's done, as we go forward.
I agree with you. I kind of think there's like these fundamental skills in
Hmm.
sales, how to hold a professional call, like the
Hmm.
kind of things that you can watch for, AI could watch for in a call. And
Hmm.
then there's kind of these advanced skills, if you would call
Yep.
it, right? Really being able to read the buyer. And then there's what you're calling an art form almost behind it, which is
Yeah.
even next layer, which is like there's this advanced layer and then there's this art layer, right?
Yeah.
Which I love that terminology
Yeah.
and I agree with you. I think there's a lot of things you can do on the fundamentals of
Mhm.
just having like I like to say, a professional
Yep.
conversation and acknowledging that the buyer on the other end is actually they're taking their time to talk to you. So
Mhm.
acknowledge them, right? And
Yep.
just don't talk up to, I mean,
Right.
I'm newer at this, and I'll
Yep.
give you a funny story. Like I said, Bob many, many years ago took me out to do the door knocking, but when that was still before you did SDR
Thing.
the thing, right? We actually go and knock on doors, and I was scared. I was so scared, and it was the scariest day of my life, and I, like, had to go and knock and talk to the people, and I watched Bob and I think Joanne was her name, right? If I
Mhm. Yeah,
remember
Joanne
correctly,
Goodwin, I think it was,
do
yep.
it and handle it with such grace. So much respect for sales was given at that day, and I have never forgotten it in my life, and this is literally, I think, 20 years ago,
Yeah, yeah,
if I
yeah.
put the timeline on it, right? And now this is
I
the
hate
same.
to tell you, Gino, it's probably longer ago.
Whoa! No, no.
But just
And now
saying.
these are kind of the skills that the SDRs are doing, but without
Right.
having the ability to actually see the people and actually interact with them and doing it either on a video call, like, or a voice call
Mm,
only, which makes it super hard,
yep.
right?
And your comments there, I think, are very relevant because the opposite is true. And my comment about trying to take an operational mindset to sales came from yourself and others, when we worked together, where I feel like I took an appreciation to why certain things had to be repeatable and fundamental and everything could not be a one-off and there had to be process in place. So, as I saw that from an ops perspective, I always said to myself, how can I use this in sales? And again, that's where I think AI can help because as we go forward, it can guide you through all those items that
Right.
really are more mechanical to ensure that they're being done correctly and maybe play the role of a guide. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah.
And they can guide you through that
Correct.
in real
Mhm.
time, right? They
Yeah.
can do it in real
Yeah.
time with the technology that we have today instead of waiting for the call to be over and then reviewing it.
Yeah. Mhm. Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah, and I
let's go on to kind of the next thing. What kind of tools or tips or that you're doing right now that is different than what you were doing before? I think you're talking about operationalize them. Is there any
Mhm.
tools
Mhm.
in your current stack that you absolutely love that you're saying this is really helping us push, or is it a trick that you're doing with a
Yeah.
tool that you have, right? Maybe it's not
Yep,
a
yep, yep.
different tool, but it's something different that you're actually doing.
Yep, and one thing which in my career as a salesperson, but also as a sales leader, I've always observed and I try to teach is if we have 2 or 3 people, myself, a sales rep, an engineer, or SME on a call, and you do a post game, it's really interesting how different people take different things out of the same comment. Or when someone says, "Oh, I didn't think that's what Jean said. I thought she said this." And then someone else thinks differently. So it just shows you that 2 ears don't always hear the same thing. So then how can we take tools, right? So we utilize Teams as our primary interaction. So the Teams transcription and record mechanism, and then being able to go back and listen to the calls, watch them, but also the summarization of the notes and point back to a point on the call where something important was said so you can actually see the transcription, not go by recollection, utilizing Copilot a little bit to summarize as we go forward. And then candidly, Nayak and your tool, that helps us have a little bit more guidance, right? Trying to add that sales EQ and the sales mentality to the AI tool as opposed to the general just transcription, right? So kind of next layer of here's what it means, or here's what to do, or here's what you're not doing, which is as important as what you are doing. So I think I always go back to 3 people on a call, they hear different things, they see different things. How do you take all of that and put it together? And that's what I think the AI tools can help us with, is kind of balance out or level out that playing field so everyone does have the same information following a call or an interaction. Candidly, a big change in code or following COVID is obviously you and I are in different parts of the country, or in different parts of the country rather, but locally here it's hard to get in front of people because they were so trained to do everything remote, everything on a web conference. So, COVID accelerated a lot of things. It also accelerated a lot of web conferences, but also from sales hurt because people don't want to get together in person anymore. So now, or they're working remote, right? So it's a little bit harder. So now you need these tools to kind of fill in the blanks for what would have otherwise been an in-person interaction, which in sales is obviously, always preferable if it's feasible.
So I want to go back to the comment you said, like 3 people out of the call
Hmm.
having 3 different outcomes. And I think that's what we kinda talk about a
Yep.
lot, right? When we're talking about emotional cognitive load, right? Cognitive load when you're on a call, when you're running a bit, when you're the salesperson, when you're the SE or you're the manager on the call are very different, right? So you're able to observe different signals that the others aren't. And I think you're absolutely right because kind of AI doesn't have nerves. It doesn't need
Correct.
coffee in the morning, right? It comes in every day and it's kinda like, "I'm here, I'm happy,
Hmm.
I'm gonna listen, I'm unbiased," right? I'm just looking for signals. I'm
Hmm.
not overloaded or my wires are crossed because I'm trying to remember the last thing they said. And then it has the ability to kinda interpret for you too,
Yep.
right? And give you some information back. So I think that's interesting, and I also think that AI has what I like to call perfect memory, right? Because it can go back into call transcripts that were said. It can pull up product information and any knowledge that you may have and recite it back to you, right? Like it has this concept of perfect knowledge and it it also has this it can remove like I like to call it remove the cognitive load so that
Hmm.
you as humans can be more human, right? Because it's that human to human connection that's still going to win every single
Hmm.
time, right?
Yep. Yep. And I'll give you a real life example is if I'm on a call with others from my team and others are either presenting or speaking or being the ones that are the focal point, I spend a lot of the call observing everybody else. Not everyone's on camera, makes it a little bit harder if they're not, but I try to observe, even in person, I do that. I'm really trying to observe the others and how they interact so I can kind of sense who's engaged, who's not engaged, what
Right.
point hit home by a facial reaction or tone of voice, things like that. And that's what, like, candidly, that's part of what the NIAC tool helps give you. And the real example is I very consciously try and bring others into the conversation if they've been quiet. Or it's an old school teacher's technique. If someone's zoning out, call their name so they get startled and they pay attention. But your tool, I saw it do that. It said, so and so has not been in the conversation, engage them. So it's those coaching techniques when the coach can't be with you that really, I think, can help accelerate growth, not just for the two of us who are, experienced, but think about the 24, 25-year-old, kind of first job out of school, new to sales and their interaction. So it's a way to help kind of accelerate growth based on the collective experience, not just that one person's
I
experience.
don't think I would call myself too experienced like you. I don't put myself in
Well,
this
just in business,
I'm more
business
down the
experience.
other
Yeah.
end.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm learning and
Yep.
I'm getting better,
Yep.
but I am definitely that's why this tool is so fundamentally important because I am a founder. I am trying to do founder-led sales. I've never been in the position where I have to
Mhm.
carry revenue targets, right? It's
Mhm.
a
Mhm.
very different world.
Yep. Yep.
I've always been developing the product and letting the salespeople do it, and now
Yeah.
I'm in charge of that piece, and I understand all of, the cognitive overload, the
Yep.
nervousness before you get on a call, the excitement to tell people about it and not shutting up, right?
Mhm.
I do that all. I make all those
Mhm.
filters all the time, right? And yeah, that's why the tool's there to help me. And I would consider myself much earlier in the career, but thank you, Bob, for
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
be an expert. All right. Let me ask you one more question, a
Mhm.
couple more questions here.
Yeah, please.
What is the biggest mistake you think reps make during a call? Like the
Yep.
ones in their earlier state of their sales career.
Yep. There's a more colorful way to say this, but in this conversation, right? There's my BS, there's your BS, and then there's the collective us, right? And it's I think the biggest mistake is having your discussion without the awareness of everything around the discussion, right? It's fundamental EQ, right? But not being aware of your situation, not being aware that you're a person, that you have a life. Like you might have something personal going on right now, or you may have other projects that are either A, interdependent on my conversation and my project, or could be in conflict with it, or maybe a competing priorities. To me, it's that basic EQ of in a conversation it's not just about me, and it's not just about our topic. It's everything around it. So the more we can give guidance for somebody newer or somebody experienced to help them through that and just little cues and reminders, I think that's really important because that's where I think a big mistake comes in, which is there's a difference between telling and selling, right?
Right.
People can talk about their product all day long, but can they have a conversation and a discussion about it, inclusive of everything around it that could be a consideration or an obstacle or a priority, or candidly, just you as maybe my potential buyer, just your situation. And, are you going on vacation tomorrow? Are you just coming back from having a parent be ill? Whatever it might be. So that I think is the biggest mistake that people make or the biggest shortfall in sales
'Cause
conversations.
they're not really understanding then the motivation that
Not about
they
me.
have,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's about
to
us
push
and
that forward.
the whole discussion around us, not just about what I want to talk about. I think that's the biggest mistake people make.
That's great advice. Thank you. What is one thing that AI you think can't replace for great selling? Like, is it
Mhm.
this I mean, you've been talking a lot about that human piece of it, right?
And you did it twice on this call where in our interaction you laughed, right? I can't replace that.
Right,
I had an appointment yesterday with a large organization, 5,000 people, and in the presentation, we were in person, fortunately. We were with C-level, fortunately, and we had the presentation on paper because I didn't know exactly how the dynamic would be, where we would be in the gentleman's office. And there was something very lighthearted on the third slide that was just a play on words with things that's public knowledge that they've done. And I even said to them, "Don't flip ahead. There's something very lighthearted. I want to see how it lands." And when we got to it, they all busted out laughing. AI can't replace that. That was
right,
like a thought I had, connecting a couple different things I saw, and just genuine humor,
right,
right? So AI can't replace that. It can't even necessarily guide you on that. Do you know what I mean? So it's human intelligence. I'm sorry, it's artificial intelligence and human emotion together. I
right.
think is a key piece. The opposite, you know, um, I learned this from Tim Allen, when we worked together years ago, is in a difficult situation, in a discussion where the client is upset, maybe just, in a bad spot, and they're on a ramble, on a negative mindset path, being able to stop them in that conversation, interject humor, because then they have to work very hard. It's old school Tony Robbins. That's where we learned it from. But they have to work really hard to get mad again. So if you can break that, artificial intelligence can't do that. But if you could break that state where someone's on a bad conversation path, they have to work hard to get back to that spot.
So you
So
mean when they turn it
yeah,
around.
right. So if you're lambasting me about my product and how we stink, and I can somehow interject humor, and you smile or you laugh or you stop that thought, it's hard work to get back to that mindset you were in.
Yep.
So then let's take advantage of that and get you on a good mindset path, or or on a different.
Now that makes me understand Tim's personality
Yeah,
more. I never knew
uh,
that was, like, old school. Yeah,
that's Tony Robbins. That's because I've seen Tony Robbins teach that as well. But Tim, in my mind, did that the best when you were in a contentious conversation. Just a little interjection of humor stops you in your path,
yeah.
and then it's a reset, and then you can go down the path you want to go down. So again, that's the other thing, you learn from others too, right? Learn from people. That's a
Um, if you could give yourself one piece of advice, go
yeah,
back in your career
yeah, yeah.
at the beginning, what would it be?
So that I'm going to answer that two different ways because somebody else just asked me this a couple days ago. I would say if I went back in life, not like sales, but just life. My oldest is about to be 26. I would tell my 26-year-old, don't sweat the small stuff. Don't worry about things because at 56 years old, you're a pretty happy dude. So that's just the life advice I would give myself. But work a little bit more to AI tools, things like that. Really just like embrace and learn from change. Don't be afraid of change, utilize it, but also recognize AI as an example, but anything is not the end all be all for everybody. Take it, embrace it, look for what's good, utilize that, double, triple down on what works and is good, and don't be afraid to put aside what doesn't work. Now, because a lot of AI tools become very emotional. Well, that one sucks. This one's great. You got to use this one. No, no, don't use that one. That's just someone's opinion. Take it, but that's based on their experience and their perspective. Take it, evaluate it, take what's good, put aside what's not good for you. So that would be my AI advice. But my life advice would be, you're pretty happy. You're pretty happy in 2026. So stay the course. Stay the
Yes, of
course.
course, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
we have kind of blessed in this world to live in
Yeah.
where we do and what we do, right?
Yeah.
So, as closing, thank you again so much for
No,
being
thank
how
you.
can people get in touch with you if they wanna reach you?
Yep. So thank you. So my email, I'm on LinkedIn. Yeah. Bob Healy, Healy. And my email is bhealy at preludesolutions.com. So, you know, I love having sales conversations just as a, intellectual dialogue and intellectual stimulation. So I'm more than happy to talk. Thank you.
Thanks.
Yep.
Thanks everyone for listening. Have a great
Yep.
day.